the stream. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where manga comes to talk. Thanks for joining. You know, you look at what's going on here with the crime situation. I was just watching the stories out of New York with that subway attack, which is just insane to me. And you know, the subway attack, this is what Democrats are running on, right? You know, J.D. Vance was, talking yesterday, and welcome, and he made such a great statement, right? J.D. Vance. He said, if you vote for the Democrats in the midterms, you're voting for the people that are advocating for crime. I mean, that's it. I hate to talk about what Trump's doing in the terms of a re-election strategy, because that's not why he's ending this crime and taking on crime in these cities. But you look at what the Democrats are arguing for today, and it's something unlike we've ever heard mainstream politicians advocate for. They're advocating for criminals. And what I'm about to tell you is not an exaggeration, okay? What the Democrats are doing is, with their vocal support of criminals, is what Charles Manson and the Manson family were talking about, right? Charles Manson, who's a completely insane person, what he would say is, the good people are in prison. He said, life is a negative. Everything's in reverse. This is Charles Manson. The good guys are in prison, and the evil people are out of prison. It's crazy talk, right? It's Charles Manson. And that's what the Democrats are saying. The good guys are these violent criminals, and they're the worst of the worst criminals, too. The ones that commit the most horrific crimes that can be committed. And they're talking, the way the Democrats are talking is really as if they're their constituents, right? I mean, who would have ever thought? Let me fix my mic, guys. Hold on. There we go. That's exactly what they're doing. I mean, who would argue that rapists, murderers, violent pistol whippers, and armed robbers have rights? I mean, this is beyond anything we've ever dealt with. We've always had on the left these lunatic ACLU civil libertarian types. But now we've moved into a whole new category that we've never heard. For years, the Democrats have been arguing to give felons the vote and everything else. But they, as wackadoodle as they are, they've never been like this. And the problem is, the problem is people are losing their lives, and President Trump has literally stopped that in D.C. He has saved, I don't know how many lives have been saved by the murder rate being just totally destroyed in D.C. But the Democrats, when they started with this defund the police and this no cash bail, right? Where did all this begin? It's pretty simple how this began. It began with George Soros about, 15 years ago or so, when George Soros started backing local public defenders running for office, state's attorneys, prosecutors running for office, and things like this. It was about 10 or 15 years ago. He started getting involved in those races. And at the time, conservatives like me, we were talking, and I wasn't alone in this, Hannity, Glenn Beck, others, we were all saying that, what George Soros is doing is to bring a crime wave to the country. And down 10 years from now, what's the country going to look like with all these Soros prosecutors, state's attorneys, public defenders, judges, sheriffs, mayors, city councilmen, when he got involved in local elections? And we're seeing that now, right? And what you have going on like in Chicago, what was going on in D.C. and these other blue cities, what you have literally is anarchy. It's an anarchy, right? If the first duty of government at every level, from the local to the federal, is to keep the citizens safe, right? So if you're not doing that, you don't have a functioning government. You have an anarchy. So we have an anarchy. You know, on the program I did last night, which you guys should listen. It's the thumbnail is the one of Trump with the Shikopolis, you know. And make sure you listen. I got some just bizarre calls. I got a call from one guy, and he had this liberal talking point, right? Why isn't Trump sending the National Guard into the red cities to fight crime? And I asked him a question he didn't have an answer to. He was actually speechless at the question. I said, what major American city is a Republican city that has a crime wave going on? And then he said, well, Louisiana. And I said, well, Louisiana is not a city, it's a state. You know, red states have blue cities in them oftentimes, like here in Florida. Here in Florida is as MAGA as it gets, right? But we have Jacksonville, Florida, which is a blue city, high in crime. We have Orlando, Florida, which is a blue city, high in crime. We have, you know, like this violent street crime. You know, the city of Miami is a Democrat city, and it's high in crime. You know, there are not Republican cities that have these crime issues like Chicago. I didn't ask for a name of a Republican city run by Republicans. The major cities are all Democrats. You know, and there are blue cities and red states, and they're trying to claim red states for their blue cities. It's insane. Okay, it's insane. We want crime to end everywhere, but you've got to start where the big ones are. And you know, for you know, and this other guy, he called me on the show last night, and he said he lives in Chicago and he doesn't want them to come in. And I got a call from a woman on Friday's show who was in Chicago and doesn't want them there. And so what's happened to a lot of these people, like I've heard from 2 people in the last couple days who live in Chicago calling me on the show, telling me they don't want people to move in, they don't want Trump to move into crime. And what's happened to those people, it's really sad, but they've been institutionalized. We didn't ask for the name of Republican cities. We're talking about Republican-led cities that have crime waves like D.C. used to have, or Chicago has today. You know, not just randomly list cities. I tell you, you know what? Liberals are just assholes, aren't they? Aren't they? You know, here you've got President Trump, who has literally saved the lives of people who would have been murdered in D.C. He's going to do it in Chicago and other cities, and they're pissed at him. How many? Just think about this. How many women have not been raped because of President Trump, between his shutting down the sex trafficking at the border to shutting down the crime in D.C.? Right? A lot, yeah, a lot, and it's growing every day. And they're like pissed off at that. But these 2 callers that I got from Chicago, the lady on Friday, this guy yesterday, they're institutionalized in this crime city. They don't know another way. They're so used to it and accustomed to it. It's so normal to them. They don't even. Oh, there's lightning behind me. They don't even want the crime wave to end. Isn't that something? Yeah. You know, Baltimore's a Democrat city. That's on the list. You know, I mean, if, you know, as Republicans, you know, from time to time, we'll have some Republican who does stupid stuff. We'll call him a rhino, right? A rhino, Republican in name only. I call them rats, Republicans against Trump. But the rhinos or the rats, they step out of line. We call them out. Like, look at how many of us were pissed off this week at Marjorie Taylor Greene, right, for what she did with those victims, or Massey, or Mitch McConnell in the Senate. When our people betray the ideology of the Republican Party, or do stupid things, we're done with them. We drop them, right? But the Democrats, they just this domino effect, and the root. A lot of people think the root cause is, Black Lives Matter after the Zimmerman Trayvon Martin incident led to this, and that was certainly one of the points where it really started happening. But the main root cause of this nationwide crime wave and the voices on the left fighting against stopping it. That's the steam from my coffee going across the camera lens. It's George Soros. That's him backing these local officials in the Democrat Party the last 10. It's been between 10 and 15 years since he started doing that. I can't remember exactly what year. And that's sadly, if you were think about it, if you have any sense of, by the way, if you're new to the channel, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe, guys. If you were a Democrat, right, and you see a crime, like if somebody committed a crime right here, wouldn't you call the police? Now, if that crime was a carjacking, a sexual assault, a physical assault, an armed robbery, or a murder, wouldn't you want that person to be arrested and go to jail? Well, your government in these Democrat cities, they're not doing that. And if by some mistake they get arrested, they let them go. This guy that attacked the poor girl on the subway, he killed her, right? I saw he's been arrested how many times, that guy? 15 times, 10 times, however. I've never been arrested. How many times have you guys been arrested? This guy's been arrested like a dozen times around about, give or take. And he's walking free? The Democrats are responsible for so much death, destruction in this country each and every day. Yeah, zero. Yeah, I have zero arrests myself. Yeah, exactly. You got a violent criminal that's arrested 10 times, 15 times, doing violent crime. How are they free? Soros-backed judges. That's how. That's it. By the way, does anyone know if Marjorie Taylor Greene was at that Rose Garden event the president had the other night? Because the president addressed that crowd when he was on the mic, and he said those are the people that have been loyal to him, that he doesn't have to call at 3 a.m. to convince to do something, the people that never waver, that he can trust to be on his side. Right? So does anyone know if Marjorie Taylor Greene was there? I'm curious, because that would tell us how Trump feels about her. I don't know the answer to that. It just popped in my head. I didn't even think to look it up. It just popped in my head. I'm behind on my coffee, guys. So, but even though I haven't had my coffee, my brain power is beyond any Democrat in here. Look at the excitement that happened on social media yesterday when President Trump took this Apocalypse Now image of himself. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Yeah, look at all the excitement, because people don't want. Well, like, you're here now, Mike. I'm asking you guys. I tend to think probably not. I don't know, because I think it would have made the news if she was there. Don't you guys? But it's just crazy to me. You really, how can you? There's some things that you can have a debate on, right? There's some political issues that are that you can have a legitimate partisan debate on. How can you have a partisan or any kind of debate on whether or not crime should be taken off the street? And what Trump's doing in Chicago, when he says, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," which was just brilliant. The crime issue in Chicago isn't just a black gang thing. It's a Hispanic gang thing too. These illegals with the MS-13, the Trinda guys, they're in Chicago doing all kinds of crime. And so focusing on deportations first, that's a pretty smart move. Pretty smart move. It's well within, without any question, federal jurisdiction. And that's the beginning of ending the crime wave in Chicago. Very simple way to do it is starting with the deportations. And they know, excuse me, they know where the worst of the worst gang leaders are. They'll track them down, they'll find them, and they'll do some big arrest. Targeting the illegal gang members first. And, you know, these Chicago people that have been calling me on the show, telling me that they want crime to continue in their city, the calls are sad. Really, but those people are so sad because they've lived in this crime area for so long, they don't know another way. Hold on, let me take this mic off for a sec. How do I get this off? There we go. Sorry, had to clear my throat. Those of you that are, I got this new mic, and it's so tiny. Yesterday was the first day I used this mic. Those of you that are members to the channel, I did a live stream last night just for members, so make sure you check that out. And I was there with my wife, Kathy, joined me on the stream. So if you're a channel member, go and check that out. And if you're not, become a channel member. If you'd like to support my content, it's just $5. You can become a channel member. You get your name in a special color, so you stand out in the chat, and you get access to all the members only emojis, right? So there you go, you become a member, and of course you're supporting all my content when you do that. I know this is the DJI mini mic, it's very tiny. Well, you know, it's years ago, Glenn Beck used to talk a lot about the Cloward and Piven strategy of collapsing the American system, right? That's what this crime wave is all about, right? It's about collapsing, overwhelming the system, and collapsing the system. That's exactly what it's about, you know? And it's got to stop. You know, when J.D. Vance said yesterday in the midterms, if you vote Democrat, you're voting for these criminals. That's exactly right. And by the time we get to the midterms, I mean, I'm guessing these big cities, or the big crime waves, are going to be over. Now, that doesn't mean that there's never going to be another crime in these cities, but it's going to become rare, right? There's crime everywhere, okay? Right? There's crime everywhere at a certain level. At a certain level. But what you'll find is the crimes become less and less in number, and less severe. Right? You know, and when we get to the midterms, and there are people in these blue cities that are living in crime-free cities for the first time in their life, and you have the Democrats out there advocating to bring the criminals back, which is what they're doing, I think we're going to do all right in the midterms, okay? You know, I'm not worried about the midterms at all. Yes, 450 new jobs created at the Georgia Hyundai plant. Yeah, that's exactly right. Every deportation is a job created. That's correct. Yes. Welcome. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video if you don't mind. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for joining. Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. We're gonna come into the midterms in these major cities. At some point, the blue cities are going to start to have protest in them for Trump to come to their city, right? And the crime in D.C. was bad, and it collapsed without any resistance. And this, I was talking on Friday's show. Will Chicago give resistance? And I don't think so. They get so upset at the National Guard. When they come in, these leftists, the National Guard aren't doing any arrest. They're just there for a presence. And those military vehicles are pretty impressive. And obviously, the gangbangers are intimidated by them. Cleaning up the homeless in Washington. Most homeless people fit in a very small group: severely mentally ill or have criminal records, right? I mean, for somebody to be homeless, they either have to be completely mentally ill or they've alienated their entire family and nobody can't help them anymore. And I've talked to cops I know, and they've told me that if you run most every homeless person, there'll be warrants. It's a very easy thing. You start running homeless people, you're going to get warrant after warrant. So there's sympathy for the homeless. Most of them are criminals or severe mentally ill, which means that most of them are incredibly dangerous. A lot of mentally ill people aren't homeless. Yeah, I mean, look at the Democrats in Congress. A lot of mental illness there. Oh man, not only was I the first customer when they opened up at 5, they've been open 39 minutes. They haven't had another customer yet. I've been the only customer all morning. I guess people sleep in on the weekends, not me. My most productive times are early in the morning. It's when I have my clearest thoughts. But the conventional thinking that the Democrats have is the party in power loses seats in Congress in the midterm elections. That's just not the case here. This is such a unique and historic presidency, with the president doing things that no one thought could be done before. And the things that he's doing and undoing not only are things that people thought couldn't be done, they figured, why even bother trying? Because these things are impossible to fix, like the crime wave in D.C. And look at that. D.C. is safe now. Chicago, I cannot wait for Chicago and Baltimore and all these cities to be safe, where you can walk day or night like I can in my city without any worries. And it'll all be because of Trump. We have not had a president that's done work at this level for the American people in any of our lifetimes. Everything that the government has been doing, every president we've had has been worried about other countries. Ukraine's border sovereignty with Russia, right? The crime in their countries, whether it's terrorism or something else. Hunger and poverty in other countries. They don't worry about this country. And for the first time in any of our lifetimes, we have a president of the United States that's not worried about other countries. He's worried about our country. And, when he announced the other day at that Rose Garden event that he's going to fix up D.C., that the roads are falling apart, the street signs are disgusting, he said it's embarrassing. When these important people and world leaders come to the White House, they go on these crappy roads with these crappy signs. He's going to fix all that up. There should not be a bumpy road in America, okay? There should not be a bumpy road in America. We should have the best roads, the best signs, the best everything. And the reason we don't is, one, the Democrats steal everything, right? The Democrats steal everything. And the money that the government is mainly involved in spending is in other countries. I bet you that even with the war going on in Ukraine, I bet they have better roads than we have. I bet if you went to Kiev, I bet you their roads and street signs are perfection compared to DC. Some Russian bomb puts a hole in a road. They probably are out there with US dollars repairing it that day. But not here. Not here. Because our government's been so corrupt. And, you know, no, this is live. Pusher, this is live. No, not delusional. I see the light. You know, if you're not with Trump, you're delusional. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. If you love Trump, press 1 in the chat. If you love Trump, press 1. You know, when you look at everything President Trump has done, I'm just sticking to the second term, right? There's no other choices but 1, by the way. If you love Trump, press 1. Look at all that Trump love. There is not a single policy that he has done in this second term that's not good, right? You know, like on Friday, he signed this bill to no longer pay these hostage takers for American hostages. He's gotten over 70 Americans who were being held hostage and prisoner around the world released and returned to the United States. With Biden, they were, what, 20 some odd in the hole, 26, 28 in the hole? Because Biden was paying billions of dollars to these hostage takers. So they're going out, it became a money-making thing. Go out, kidnap an American, Biden will pay you. You know, all this talk of the Powerball, that was their Powerball, right? Kidnap an American, you win the Biden Powerball lottery. And President Trump signed that executive order on Friday. That's not going to be the way. Yeah, 76. He has brought 76 American hostages and prisoners back home without paying a penny. He might show them a picture of their house or something from time to time. The source is the President of the United States, Donald John Trump. If you watch his press conference Friday in the Oval Office where he changed the name of the Defense Department to the War Department again, it's all right there. They had all the information, all the receipts laid out right there. Yeah. I have Trump. Anybody else have the Trump coin? I have the Trump coin. That's right. You know, you cannot look at a single thing Donald Trump has done in the second term that's not a good thing. My views on ice, I like my coffee without ice cubes. I don't know what that, very vague question. I don't like iced coffee, I like hot coffee. Very vague question. Oh, finally, another customer. Yeah, they've told me that I'm the only customer that comes in during the whole first hour of opening every day, pretty much. It's basically they're open for me in the morning so I can live stream early with you guys. Yeah, I do like iced tea. I do like ice in my sweet iced tea with no lemon. I like ice cold Coke and Pepsi as well. Yes, those are my views on ice, since you asked in such a vague way. I like Vanilla Ice. I saw an interview with Vanilla Ice yesterday. Vanilla Ice is awesome. Ice Baby. What's that guy that does the interviews from his van with the froggy voice? I forgot his name. You know who I'm talking about? And Vanilla Ice was talking about how he makes money on his real estate, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, I like Vanilla Ice as well. Yeah, Ice Baby. Yep. Who doesn't like Vanilla Ice? Steve-O, yeah, the Steve-O interview with Vanilla Ice. That was a very good, when Vanilla Ice is talking about how he makes money on real estate, he gave out his whole secret formula, which is pretty cool. Look, cop got his coffee. So yes, disgusting. You think you don't like Vanilla Ice? I mean, my goodness. You know, that wouldn't that be cool if Vanilla Ice was one of these celebrities that joined ICE? Like Dean Cain, that would be awesome. Vanilla Ice joins ICE. But you know, you know how the liberals operate, okay? Do you guys remember when Vanilla Ice became popular? This is how demented the liberals. You know how demented the liberals are now with the crime. They're always the left are always demented and out of their minds. Like I remember when Vanilla Ice first got big. Black people were freaking out, you know, and so were the liberals. They were saying, "How dare this white guy rap and be popular?" And they had, was it the American Music Awards or the Grammys? I can't remember which one it was. It was either the American Music Awards or the Grammys, and Vanilla Ice won all of the awards in the rap categories because he had the hit song. And the Democrats, the liberals, the black musicians, they were freaking out. And I remember, you can find this on YouTube, I'm sure. Vanilla Ice went on Arsenio Hall, and Arsenio Hall spent the entire show dressing Vanilla Ice down for having the audacity to be a successful rapper, because only black people were supposed to rap. Only black people were supposed to be successful at rap. And I mean, you know, so the left are always lunatics, okay? There's never been a point where the Democrats were ever anything but crazy. They whatever their focus of their delusional insanity changes from period to period, right? But right now they're against, I mean, look at what they're doing, right? Who are they advocating for, right? They used to advocate, they would tell you, for women's rights and all these things, gay rights and all this stuff. But what are they advocating for now? They're advocating for the rights of murderers and rapists to do their crimes in America's major cities. And then when they're not doing that, they're advocating for the right of the drug cartels to traffic drugs into the United States. So that's the Democrat Party platform today. You see it, right? Is that not their platform? So, you know, and in 10 years, there'll be other issues, and whatever the wackadoodle positions are, that's what the Democrats will be doing, if the Democrat Party still exists in 10 years. And you look at this party, you know, I had a great call on yesterday after, late in the afternoon, early evening, I did a podcast. You guys got to check it out. I had some great calls on all the podcasts I've done this weekend. And I had a great call with this guy, which I'm trying to remember what his name was, and I can't remember where in the podcast it was. Oh, it doesn't matter. But you know, he's in Chicago, and he's telling me that he doesn't want the crime to end in Chicago, and he's there, and he other than this bizarre thing that he's telling me, he's not like one of these idiot trolls in the chat room. He's like a real guy whose mind has been so warped that he doesn't know there's another way of living in a crime-free city, right? There was another guy who called me on the, I did 2 podcasts yesterday. So this was when I was taking calls late in the day. Another guy called me. He was a smart guy. I think he was from California. We had a great conversation. And he said something. He's new to the program, just found me. More lightning. And he said something that I've been saying for years. And it was so great to hear it, especially from a guy from Gavin Newsom's California. And he said the Democrats were the Confederates, right, and started the Civil War. He said when they lost the Civil War, they're still fighting the Civil War, even till today. The Democrat Party is still an insurrectionist party, just like during the Civil War, trying to bring down the federal government of the United States. There's no doubt about it, you know? And other than defending the murderers and rapists and the drug cartels, okay, what are the Democrats standing for today? Other than those terrible things that they're advocating for, what are they really saying? Support us, vote Democrat because of this. Because what? Criminals have rights, drug traffickers have rights, murderers have rights, armed robbers have rights. That's what they're saying. Rapists have rights. That's what they're saying. What is their platform other than that? Do you know? If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, all right? My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Yeah, they're no longer, you know, a few years ago, they had that Me Too movement where they were standing up for women, right? After the Harvey Weinstein thing, right? Right, they were standing up for women who were sexually assaulted. That's a good thing to stand up for women who have been sexually assaulted. However, no, I'm live, man. However, what the Democrats are doing now is standing up for the sexual assaulters, not the victims, but the perpetrators. They've done a complete 180 since the Me Too movement. They are now on the Harvey Weinstein side of it. Isn't that crazy? I mean, that's, and a lot of them that are advocating for the rights of these sexual assaulters are women. Right? Am I wrong? How can you know? It's completely insane. And, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement. What's Black Lives Matter about, right? Saving black lives. It was born after the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman affair, right? Oh, during that. It came up during that. If you go to Chicago, the murders in Chicago, rarely is it a white person. It's usually someone who's African American or Hispanic because it's a majority minority city. A lot of the crime and murder is gang crime, so it's gang on gang. So here you have President Trump going to into these blue cities, which are majority minority cities, saving black lives, saving Hispanic lives. You know, that's Black Lives Matter, and they're pissed at him about it. It's wrong to do that. Patrick, I'm saying what their stated purpose was, what the liberals were telling us, not what the reality was. But Black Lives Matter, Candace Owens exposed, was really a real estate scam, right? Majority minority, that's a liberal term. A majority minority city, a majority minority school. That's a liberal term. I'm using lib speak so that the Democrats watching me will understand what I'm saying. I'm using their language. I speak lib a little bit, not fluently, thankfully, but I have a working use of the liberal language. Majority minority, exactly. So if you're a Democrat and you support the stated purpose of Black Lives Matter, you should be very happy with what President Trump did in D.C. and support what he's about to do in the city of Chicago. Australia, welcome Australia. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you're new to my channel, this is where MAGA comes to talk. It is hot and humid here. I am sweating. I don't know what the temperature is. I did not check. I might have to take an alt route home because there was a major car accident. It looked like a deadly car accident, so they had the roadblocks. Probably somebody driving drunk coming home from a bar in the middle of the night. Why would I move to Russia? I live in beautiful Florida. I mean, look at this. I mean, come on. Palm trees, and beautiful weather. Hawaiian shirts. But it is hot and humid. And drinking the hot coffee probably makes me even hotter. But, you know, what are you going to do? Yeah, this new mic I just got this mic. And I used this yesterday when I was on Newsmax. It was the first time I used it. I had the mic hidden under my tie. And it's a great mic. It's so tiny. DJI Mini. My other mic that I would use was so heavy it would weigh my shirt down. This one I can't even tell it's there, which I'm like, did it fall off? Did I lose it? Oh, MAGA for life. 76 degrees. What's the humidity? 500%. Because I'm sweating here. I'm sweating on my face. But again, the coffee is hot. But, you know, this is a serious question. I'm going to throw this question out to you, okay? What is the Democrat Party platform right now, as we're moving into the midterm election season already, if you can imagine, right? The only thing I hear them do is advocate for murderers, rapists, and armed robbers, and the drug cartels to do their crimes. Other than those things, other than advocates for criminals, why are Democrats saying support and vote for them? What is the Democrat Party platform other than advocating for rapists, murderers, carjackers, armed robbers, drug traffickers, human traffickers, like this fake Maryland man? What are the other things they're saying? Vote for us because of this. I mean, that is their platform, isn't it? Look, more lightning. Holy smokes. That's the third lightning strike I've seen. Can you think of anything else? I mean, affordability. What does affordability mean? Affordability. You know, give me a break. Affordability. That's called communism. No, they're not even talking about abortion. DEI didn't earn it. Yes. MAGA people have common sense. That's right. That's right. Well, prices have fallen under Trump. Prices are falling. Incomes are up. He's creating jobs all the time, like the 450 jobs created at the Hyundai plant the other day. Civil rights. What civil rights do we not have? What the Democrats are arguing for is for criminals to have civil rights to do crime. They want to make all these violent crimes a civil right. Yeah. The cost of food in the grocery store has dropped a little bit. Not in the restaurant. The restaurants have not lowered their prices. I will tell you that. You know, the restaurants have kept their prices high. But in the grocery store, they've lowered the prices a little bit. They've gone down a little bit. Be nice if it went down more. You know. Trump cannot make people lower their prices. He can create a scenario that can allow it, but he can't make businesses lower their prices. What makes businesses lower their prices are the consumer, right? If you don't go to a business because their prices are too high, they'll lower them. That's it. The market, really, at this point. You know, like I give you an example. My wife and I, because it's just the two of us, our daughter's grown, right? She's 26. So it's just my wife and I. And I've told you guys many times, we pretty much just eat out, right? I only eat really, like, you know, not too much, but we've stopped that almost completely. We're eating at home more now because the restaurant prices are too high. Like I love Chipotle as an example, right? Used to go to Chipotle 3-4 times a week. Not anymore. The prices of a bowl at Chipotle have just, it's insanity. You know? So we don't go like we used to. Very rare to go there now. That's how you get prices down. They keep the, you know, businesses charge as much as the consumers are willing to pay. Right? Yeah, $20, it's crazy. They charge what consumers are willing to pay. So if you don't go and pay, they will lower prices to get people back in. That's business. You always want to get as much money as you can. Now remember, those of you that are members of the channel, I did a live stream last night with my wife. That was a members only live stream. So if you're a member, you can still go back and watch that. And if you want to support my channel, become a member. When you become a member, you get your name in a special color, so you stayed out of the chat, and you get access to all the commercial, or I'm sorry, all the members-only emojis that my wife created. Yep, Itchy Brain. He's a member. See, his name stands out. You can see him right there. Boom. But that's how you do it. I mean, you know, the market decides the price of most everything. There's some exceptions to that, but for the most part, that's the way it is. You know, and Not that Chipotle may not care that I'm not going there 3 or 4 times a week with my wife, but there are thousands of people will watch this live stream today, hear me say it, and some of you may not go because of that, and it'll spread. And when we stop going, that's when it happens. That's when they will lower the prices. They're gonna, as long as people are willing to pay $20 or more for a burrito bowl, they're going to charge whatever they can get. That's how business works. So, Now, there are some exceptions. Like, I've seen some people online that are showing these insane receipts from McDonald's in California and everything, right? The fast food prices in California are where they are because Gavin Newsom and these idiot Democrats in California have raised the minimum wage. What's the current minimum wage in California? Is it like $20 or something? What's the minimum wage in California right now? It's pretty high. So they have to, on top of all the taxes and everything they got to pay. So they got to raise the prices of the food at the fast food restaurants to cover Gavin Newsom's minimum wage. $30? Is it really $30 minimum? What's the minimum wage in California, guys? $19? I don't know, whatever it is, but they raised the minimum wage. So they got to raise the prices to cover the minimum wage. Right, exactly. $16.50, whatever it is, that's a lot. A lot more. I don't know what the minimum wage is in Florida. I have no idea. I haven't made minimum wage since I was a kid. $16.50 an hour is minimum wage, no experience, no job experience, no knowledge, and they got to pay you $16.50 an hour, so they got to raise their prices on their menu items. That minimum wage is just too high. It's just too high. But if you don't like the prices at your local store, stop going to your local store. And tell your friends to stop going to the local business. They will eventually lower their prices to get more people. Right? If they're charging $20 or more for a burrito bowl at Chipotle, and there's a line out the door for it, why should they lower their price? Right? They can hardly keep up with the business. But if people aren't door dashing them or lining up, they'll lower the price to get people in. That's it. Tariffs are no problem. The tariffs actually are lowering prices, if anything. That'll have an effect on lowering prices, because what Trump's done with the tariffs is he's gotten these countries around the world to lower their tariffs on us. So that lowers the prices of their goods each way. So actually, over the course of time, the tariff war that President Trump was in with the reciprocal tariffs will lower prices. Yeah. Coffee's gone. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, okay? My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Check out my podcast. I had some great calls I did 2 podcasts yesterday. Go and check them out. I had some great calls. The one with Trump with the Apocalypse Now image. I had some incredible calls, including a strange person from Chicago on that. You won't want to miss it. So check that out. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching, everyone.